Welcome to Comfort Habit number 2. This video is called On the Fence. Alright, it will probably be a 3-parter or an anthology because it is 9 p.m. and instead of writing my graphic novel, I'm talking to all of you. I'm on the last chapter, so I'm trying to find a climactic ending for my graphic novel of American Code of Reach, which is not here or there for this video, which again, it's called I'm on the Fence, and the topics will be kind of tight. And I want to explain to y'all about why I'm on the fence because of my Native American heritage. And this video will be about things that have affected the Native Americans all around the United States and South America as well. And there are Native Americans who are Native Americans but don't live in America. And those Native Americans live at the precipice of like where Russia begins and where Russia ends in the northern pole areas. These are Inuit people. It probably doesn't affect them as much as it affects the First Nations in Canada, the Inuits in Alaska and in Seattle, and this is why I'm making this video. And it also affects damn near all tribes that had some shit that put you up against the fence and it makes you want to think about it. And then there's PETA and there's NARF. And I'm going to address all these things. So this may be a 3-part video. It may be a 5-part video. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Alright? And the reason why I'm making this video is mostly to educate you and put you on the fence. Why am I putting you on the fence? Well, you got to think about it because everything has 3 sides. You have your version, their version, and the actual event in between, which is your point of view. I like to say God's version, but I don't want to offend anybody who's not religious. Alright? I'm also going to start playing Mass Effect really soon, because I need to kill some of the stress that I'm on. The thing while I'm on the fence, I brought this up in my Heritage video, and it wasn't too long ago, not just because they made a movie about whales and whalers, and it was about a Native American tribal girl who wanted to go whaling with her dad. I don't think it was a documentary. I think it was actually just a scripted movie. Again, I would like not to lie to you, so I'm not sure what it was. But it wasn't too long ago. About maybe 9-10 years ago, the PETA came down on a tribe in Seattle about whaling, because a specific whale they're hunting had about that time was getting on the endangered species list. And they didn't think to consider the Native Americans until the whaling things were going on. People would talk about, well, the tribes are going out in their kayaks and they're whaling and they're killing the whales. But see, in Alaska, that's kind of how they have to feed their people. And they do that in the Northern Ocean up by the North Pole, and they do it in the Pacific Ocean. And the tribe from Seattle, who is a tribe of that tribe, also whale in the waters about Seattle, which is the Pacific Ocean. Now, the people who don't seem to know what's going on are the non-Native Americans, which means they would probably be Europeans or blacks, and some of them who work for PETA were giving these tribes a problem, because the tribes were out there whaling, and it was a tradition for like 2-3 centuries before the Europeans ever got here that these tribes would go out and whale. And whaling was, for men, it was a rite of passage, and for the women who were doing it, it was to feed the family, because no matter what ethnic culture you're from, prejudice against women is universal. Alright? In China, women couldn't touch weapons or they would be beheaded. In Japan, same concept. In Korea, I'm not so sure about that, but for China and Japan, women were not allowed to fight in battle as soldiers until certain events happened. And same thing with pirates, and one of the baddest pirates ever was a female, if not the best pirate ever. I forgot her name. She's Chinese. We're getting away from that because we're getting back on the topic that I was talking about for the whaling. Alright, so the tribe, I can't remember the name of the tribe, and I know this specific tribe was in Seattle, Washington, and they had a documentary on it, and it was either on CBS or NBC, it might even have been on ABC, but the young girl was trying to go whaling with her dad, and they explained how the whaling was done for their tribe. And why? Because the tribe has to eat, you know, and they made money by selling the whale skin to people and the blubber and stuff like that, which the animal rights activists or the animal rights enthusiasts had got wind of it, and it started this big ass clusterfuck on you can't be doing that. And so then the endangered species list got involved and all kinds of other stuff. And I get it. I understand about endangered species. I understand that. I understand that to the highest point of understanding. But see, this goes back to shit like tribal casinos and things like that. Because Native Americans, let's face it, they have been the lowest people in the Americas on the totem poles. They have been at the bottom forever because of the fact that this country was not given away, it was taken. Let's get that straight now. It was taken because superior firepower, superior military skills. Mostly was by superior firepower. I'm not going to say complete superior military skills, but definitely superior firepower because a bullet versus an arrow doesn't seem to work out fair on the guy's favor who's wearing the arrow. Alright? Because, you know, you get one good shot, a bullet, musket balls, and well-planned organization of reshoot, and then you put your rifle on our shoulders and you shoot. We step back and reload, and the second wave comes in and they shoot. They step back and reload. The first wave goes back and shoot. Okay. So, therefore, superior weaponry generally writes history. Remember that. Superior weaponry is what writes history. Or history is written by the victors. And you are taught that history. No matter how much truth is left out, you are taught that history. So whaling, again, a thing 2 centuries before the Europeans ever came into the American soil. And to be honest, no Native American ever thought that they would run out of food. They never thought that they would be stuck living on reservations either, so they did whaling. And boats would go out 12, 10 canoes at a time, or kayaks, and they would use this to hunt down food. And in those times, this is what they had to eat. Because a lot of the West Coast Native Americans ate fish. They didn't fuck with the buffalo. The buffaloes are basically the ones that were chased down by Apache and Cheyenne, and every now and again maybe some Seminole, maybe some Cherokee. But this was before the nations started getting taken over and put on reservations. You know, the Mohawk, all these people from the east to the west to the mid-lane plains, you know, they fucking had their territories. And yeah, they fought each other over territories and brides and wives and shit like that. I'm not saying that they're saints. But they, of all the people on earth, Native Americans have had it the worst when this country was taken. So they were blamed for scalpings, even though they didn't scalp. They were blamed for the Boston Tea Party, even though they didn't have anything to do with that. But they were blamed for it, and people were executed for being Native American, having something to do with the Boston Tea Party when there was not even a Native American there, because they were all locked up, trapped on a reservation, or shipped down to Florida, or shipped out to Miami, or shipped somewhere, anywhere except for where their home was supposed to be. See why I'm on the fence here. So, with the whaling, PETA came in, the Endangered Species List came in, the Endangered Species Act really stopped a lot of the whaling, and it limited the tribes to, you are allowed to kill 2 whales or 3 whales a year. So your tradition of getting in your kayak and rowing out with 1 or 2 hunters, now you're out there with 1 or 2 hunters, where at one time you would go out there with 7 or 8 hunters, and you would kill as many whales as you can, bring them in, and eat them. And usually when they did it once a year, so that the strong men and women could whale and eat and use the products that's left over to trade with other tribes, to make money, to make some kind of deal. And I'm against the fence because now with the Endangered Species Act, you kind of have to understand why they limited the whaling to 1 or 2 a year. I get that because they're trying to keep the whale population alive. Somebody may have watched Star Trek 4 one too many times and think that whales are going to save us. And that could happen. I will probably be dead by then, and I'm okay with that. But I brought that up for the reason that in Star Trek 4 they mentioned that the whales were hunted to extinction. They didn't say by who, But it seems that it's funny that everyone else in the world who hunts whales, no one's jumping down their ass. But when these tribes from Alaska and Seattle were hunting whales, all of a sudden everyone's jumping down their ass, and they're been reduced to you can hunt 2 whales a year. 2 whales. In whale season, you can hunt 2 whales a year. And no one's made any videos, and no one's made any reports since that movie Whaling or Whales had came out. And that was back in like 93, 95, somewhere between me being in high school and me becoming 21. So yeah, it was a long time ago. But the fact of the matter is that everyone was siding with the whaling not being something that they could do. See if I can find the damn name of the movie while I'm at it, because it would behoove me to have some proof. You know, if I can get this bitch to operate. Let me see if I can find it. Let's type in the word whaling. Let's have Facebook stop interrupting. H-A-L. Come on, motherfucker. God forgive me, I'm sorry for swearing. Come on. Maybe I didn't spell whaling right. Let me try whale hunters. Okay. Where the hell is the slash? I'm sorry, people. I'm not good with technology. Damn it. Alright, so I found some things. I'm going to go back and go to that, what I just saw. But, how sea shepherds lost battle against Japan's whale hunters in Antarctica. See, Japan's also been whale hunting, you know, so a fleet of Japanese ships currently hunting Manaki whales, I didn't say that right, in the southern oceans. It is politically increasing patience. The waters in Antarctica were a year ago or long ago declared the whale sanctuary. All right, so I understand you can't hunt there if it's a whale sanctuary, because sanctuary is to save the living whales, and that makes sense. That's honestly that makes sense. This is from the Guardian. Now let me go back to the other thing that I saw. Is whaling illegal? In 1986, the International Whaling Commission banned commercial whaling because of the extreme depletion of most whale stock. Anti-whaling countries and environmental groups opposed lifting the ban under the terms of IWC, and I don't know what the hell that means, or original whaling allowed to continue, etc., etc. Alright, what country's still hunting whales? Alright, see, Wikipedia is a motherfucker, sometimes, when it gets it right. Originally answered, which countries are still hunting whales and why? Canada, Faroe Islands, Greenland, because Native Americans do live there, Iceland, because Native Americans do live there, Indonesia, Japan, Norway, the Philippines, Russia, and St. Vincent, and the Ganges or Gandes or whatever. Most only hunt whales in traditional methods. Alright? How do you kill a whale? We don't need to go there. What is whale used for? We don't need to go there. Does Japan still kill whales? As I just read in The Guardian, yes they do. How many whales are killed for oil? That is a good question, because nearly 3 million of their oil researchers estimate the true total is likely higher, but it has been strikingly out in the sea, and that happens in 2015, so that's a little bit out of date. How many whales die each year? Let's click that. It says 1,500 whales, over 100,000 dolphins and small whales and porpoises. So you can see why I'm against the fence on this. NASA's still using whale oil. We're not going to go into that. When did we stop using whale oil? So you see why I'm against the fence and the whole whaling thing on that aspect. But for like the Native American aspect, my feelings is still kind of hurt and against the fence, because those were the first ones that they jumped down the throats of was Native Americans who were whaling. Let me see if I can type in that. Come on, damn it. Because this might give me the tribal name. Native American tribes want to resume whaling. Whale defenders are divided. And there you go. Now I'm going to read you something that kind of opens your eyes a little bit, like for me. A native tribe wants to resume whaling while whale defenders are divided. I can't pronounce this, but I'm going to spell it out for you. The Maka, I'm pretty sure I'm not saying that right, so M-A-K-A-H, Maka, are the only Native Americans which in explicit treaty rights to hunt whales, but they have not been allowed to do so for 20 years, which goes back to my 1995-93 thing. Let's go. Neah Bay, Washington, which is Seattle. The hunters are paddling frantically close to their target. When they drew near to one of them, stood in the cedar canoe, thrusting the harpoon into the spine of a 30-foot gray whale. With the help of old fishing boats, the men towed their catch into a small cove in Neah Bay, the Olympic Peninsula of Washington. That would be on the west coast, thank you, where hundreds of fellow Machian tribes greeted them like heroes. People hugged them and cried, and they celebrated and felt the return of better days. In 1999, the tribe was first successful whale hunt in 7 decades. It was also their last. Now, you see why I'm against the fence. The Maka tribe are the only Native Americans who have a treaty with the United States government to explicitly allow them to hunt whales, but they have not because of the protection, administration, and legal battle wages controversial and animal rights activists who are called practice barbaric and have generated a wave of negative sentiment against the tribe. The 2-decade tussle could flare up in coming weeks as the proposal in which the Maka resume whaling early as next year. The tribal members say the struggle goes beyond their rights to hunt, and the fight is over restoring the Native American identity and honoring the indigenous treaty rights and respectfully age-old traditions. You see why I'm against the fence? Because I'm part Cherokee, so this does affect us. Even though I don't eat fish, it still affects one tribe, affects all tribes, and people don't get that. And it will affect white people as well as black people, so you kind of got to be against the fence. Now, setting a limit, I can understand that because you want to keep the species alive, but at the same time, you have to understand it. This country was their land before it was our land. From the New York Islands to the Chesapeake borders, this land was made for you and me. Well, it kind of was taken for you and me, and next thing you know, the borders were open and everybody and their mama came in. So we kind of have to look at it from that point of view. People argue that you haven't done it for 70 years. You don't need to do it anymore. And this is said Patrick Depoe, D-E, uppercase P-O-E. 37 years old, a member of the Maka Tribe Council. They are not Maka, and they don't understand what it means to us. All right. The administration law judge scheduled a hearing arguments Thursday in the proposal by the National Oceanic and Astrophysics Administration to extreme Maka from the federal ban of whaling, which would allow the tribe to catch as many as 4 eastern northern Pacific gray whales to every 2 years for the next decade. See, it was lower than that. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I was against the fence, and I touched on that because what affects one tribe affects all tribes. I'm not going to go further into this interview. I just wanted to find that and read something about it so that people can understand. Now, I don't know how old this thing is, and it's in the New York Times, and you can find it under Nia Bay is home to the Maka tribe in Washington State. All right. Article, I think, by Ruth Firmason, New York Times. Now let me spell that shit out. Nia Bay. Neahbay. Maka tribe. Makah. You can spell tribe in Washington State. Article by Ruth, Ruth, Firmason. I don't know how to say this shit, but I'm going to spell it out for you. Fremson hyphen New York Times. And so that you can get a picture. This is what the article looks like face down. So I'm going to make a second video about stuff like this. And it will have something to do with Native Americans. And I'm not going to go any more into whaling. But now you see why I'm on the fence about the whole whaling. You have one side that's positive and negative at the same time. And the reason why I say that, it's positive because you're saving the species. But you're restricting Native Americans. Which goes back to, you're still saving the species. I respect them for saving the species, but you can't really be restricting Native Americans from their only means of living when they don't have money from the reservation. And I don't know if Seattle has passed a law like many of the other states where Native Americans can open up casinos so the money can support the tribe and the people of the tribe. Now, a lot of states do have that, and my next video will be about that. So I'm James William Shears, Comfort Fabric number 2. Be seeing you. Okay, I'm going to try to stop the damn thing.